From an investor perspective, I think there's really only two main categories of fundraising rounds. There's the highly competitive ones, where every investor wants to come in. It's kind of a FOMO and, can we get into this round? And there's the other one where you feel that the founder is struggling to raise the money. And unfortunately, there's not too much in between. And I think understanding this helps you also to really push for making sure that the round feels like a competitive round. And one thing is creating momentum, right? It's talking to as many investors as possible at the same time, but also being very ready, meaning being ready with all your documents. Because if somebody reaches out to me with the pitch and I'm like, oh, that's interesting, I want to know more. And then they tell me, oh yeah, let me prepare this. And they get back to me like 3 days later or a week later, then I already know I'm the only investor they're talking to, or I'm the only investor that has gotten that far with them. You don't want an investor to think that. You want an investor to think, oh my God, they're talking to everybody, everybody's interested in them, I need to get on this, I need to make quick decisions to also move the process. So having everything ready, I think, is very important. The most important thing is the pitch deck, because that's where you start. That's the moment where they decide, do I want to look further or not? And usually, I think after the pitch deck, you kind of have made the decision already. Unless you find something after that that's really an issue or a problem, you probably have emotionally made the decision already that you're interested in investing. So focus on the pitch. That's what I think. In the pitch, there's many different ways how you can tell your story, but in a very simple way, I think, get them excited, tell them how big the opportunity is, or how big the problem you're solving, and then why you're the right person to do that. Also personally, why you're passionate about this and your team, why you're the right crew to handle that, and then just how you get there. And explaining this in very simple steps, like try to make a slide deck that has one message per slide, little text, very simple. Like I sometimes get decks that needs like half an hour to just read one page, and that's not a deck. That can be further discussions later. In the deck, you just want to get your points across. And then have the data room ready, and there are tons of lists online, and I think there is one list now on the Swisspreneurs website, what's usually in there, so make sure you have all of that ready. There's often a question around NDAs. Some startups send us NDAs as the first thing. That's usually not something that investors like. First, I want to know that I like the company, that I'm interested in. I'm very willing later, when it's around like discussions on IP or financials, I'm very willing to sign a mutual NDA, but usually not as the first thing. That's sometimes such a red flag that you might just move on. Another thing is the types of data rooms. Make it easy. Make it easy for the investors, a simple interface. There's tons of tools out there. You can use something like DocSend, which is nice because you actually see if people are going into the data room. You see how much time they're spending. So you actually know how serious they are. So that's helpful. But I've seen things where I had to connect to some private VPNs and like super secure and really hard to get on. Then you're like, okay, shall I really make the effort to do that? Or somewhere you have like marks on every single page. It's really hard to read. So I don't think at that stage you'll have like that type of secret that you don't want to share with an investor. And they know that this is not something that they can share otherwise. And I think if you have everything ready, that also is a way and confirmation that you're also ready on your business side. Like you have your stuff together, you know what you're doing, you're ready to go. You probably are talking to several investors at the same time. So yeah, that's kind of the image you want to get across.